Hey, gorgeous you. Welcome to Infinity Within, a podcast of possibility where we work on and bring out the light and joy within you, and we put it in front of you and we ignite it. I think that sounds freaking fabulous. Damn, I wish that I could have had somebody doing that, actively, consciously doing that for me in this format where it was very private and personal, and I could seclude myself away from the world into a little hidey hole and grieve my freaking reality. I wish I could have had that, a decade to 5 years ago. It would have been helpful. It would have helped me understand and process a lot of really dangerous and toxic behaviors that were happening around me that were so normal. Around and to me, correcting, but they were so normal. I thought I thought that was how life was. I thought people were supposed to be mean to you. I thought people were supposed to gaslight you. I thought that you were supposed to fall asleep crying every night. Right now, I am sitting at the corner of a park where my kids used to play soccer. And I used to coach soccer. I used to be a parent watching soccer on this very field. And all around it's grown. It's just boom. Townhouses and condominiums and little businesses have sprung up. And I say sprung up because it's been in this period since COVID. There was just this surge of development and housing that was put in this particular area. And I haven't been here for any length of time for quite a while. And it's only relevant because while I stepped away from the world to heal injuries and to heal emotional, mental, physical scarring and damage, and to recover from these traumas, the world kept going. The world kept going. And right now, right here, was just a shocking evidencer of how, even in our darkest moments, even in areas where we cannot breathe, time keeps ticking and the world keeps clicking by. And, within 100 feet of you, there's probably 1,000 timelines happening. And you're like, how could that possibly be? That doesn't even make sense. But quite honestly, let's get real. Life on Earth is much bigger than humans. It's much more microscopic and intricate than what we typically allow ourselves to believe or to think of or to understand. And as I sit here in this beautiful park, witnessing the growth of time not standing still just because my life got really painfully traumatic, and I had to step out of everything that I was doing and work on and fix nothing but the things that I needed to for me. It is also evidenced through autumn and the changing of the leaves and the dropping of those beautiful colors onto the sidewalks and the street and even the park. And there's animals around, there's insects around. There's just a lot of things happening, each on its own individual time scale, time measurement, timeline. And the reason I'm talking about the timeline is that we tend to get caught up just in the chaos of what's happening to us. But that isn't our full reality. Our full reality has these little tendrils that go out, and they literally collide with these timelines around us. And it could be something as specific as, if you live in, say, the apartment buildings to the left of where I'm sitting right this moment, the person on the third floor might vacuum every Tuesday at 10 a.m. and that annoys the person on the second floor who can hear that vacuum, right? Maybe those two people never even meet, but their time in existence collides. Maybe one oblivious to the other, but it's still like those ripples that we put out into the world. The energy of living our life intersects with other people in ways that we can't possibly imagine. Both positive, neutral, and negative. That's 3, not both, all. So why is all this important? When you are looking at the possibilities of your life, I need you to be really bold for a moment and just think big. Big. If your biggest what if were to happen for you this year, what would it mean? What would it take? What is it? What is it? What is that one big, bold thing? I'm sure something has popped to your mind, and I'm sure what if that were to happen? How would I get there? I'm sure that no, like all these barriers and obstacles pop into the path. And the barriers and obstacles are very real. I know that, and I accept that. But I challenge that they are consuming of us. Like it feels that they are when we are recovering from trauma. When we are recovering from trauma, the idea of setting a boundary or standing up for ourselves or being true to ourselves is catastrophically overwhelming and can actually spur you into anxiety or panic or even PTSD. It's terrifying sometimes to put ourselves first in our own life, even though just like the trees and the insects and the time spinning around you 24/7 nonstop, you were put on this earth to be true to yourself and to be 100%, I wanted to say 1000%, but keeping it real, 100%. You were put on this earth for your own special uniqueness. You were not put on this earth to be like every other human out there or to be subservient to other people or abused by other people or used by other people or hurt by other people or to live your life small or short. You were born. You were literally given the gift of being born just so that you could explore what your gifts and talents are and follow your intuitive self and your soul to unleashing those and giving your gifts to the world. And when you look around that ever-moving energy force of time, like literally for a moment, I'm going to pause for a moment. And even if you're in your own home, can you see a plant in your home? Can you see, a dishwasher that's running? Can you see, because it's got a start, a middle, and an end? Can you see something else that's evidenced by the passage of time? Can you see out the window? Can you hear wind? Can you hear rain? Can you hear a person? Do you see the TV? Do you hear me? Right? Having a completely different, living a different timeline, living a different life than you, but still having a reach and effect. A possible opportunity to help you become the amazing individual that you know you are. To help you just open that up and light it up, like cracking an egg open and having breakfast, right? You stand on the frying pan and it's hot, and you crack that egg open and it drops and it sizzles, right? That's evidence. That is evidence that the egg is turning into breakfast, right? I'm not a raw egg person. Ugh. So let's take a quiet moment. We're going to pause right here. We're going to take a quiet moment. You look for evidence of other timelines, of other footprints that intersect with you. Did you see any? What did you see? Did it make you happy? Did it make you feel sad? Did it make you feel tearful? Joyous? How did it make you feel when you saw these other timelines? The point and the purpose of the timeline conversation is also to help you distinguish that you're never as alone as you feel. Even if we reach our hand out and we touch a tree or we pick up a leaf off the ground, if we lay back on the grass and we watch the sky go by, we are touching nature and reality. We're touching real things. If we have a friend or a child or a spouse, and we have the ability to deeply connect with this person, to give them the gift of our light, unabashed, unbiased, just real. Does anybody pop to mind? Are you able to do that? Be received and receive somebody in your life without control, without, ugly, putrid effects of that relationship? One of the most pure and joyous relationships I've ever experienced is that of being a mother to children. And the joy at which, the babies, infants look up at you, or toddlers run to you, or preschoolers or elementary school children receive you when you have given everything of yourself to the role of parent. Now, by elementary school, children who are not getting everything from their parent that they desire, they need. I'm not talking about no, you can't have another popsicle or eat your green beans. But if they're not getting the emotional, physical stability and love that they need, they will be shutting off by the time they get to elementary school, early elementary school. They will be shutting off. So, when you think about that one person or that one thing, maybe it's a pet, a dog, a cat that just gives you unconditional everything, is there for you. That feels good, doesn't it? And if there's somebody that you can give that to, that fills your soul. It ratifies your existence. It makes you, what is the right word? Relevant. Not relevant from ego, but relevant in the act of being human and accepted. That is a beautiful thing. It is one of the most difficult tasks when you are that elementary school child, when you were born into generational trauma, when you were born into abuse, when you were born into sexual trauma, when you were born into your parents' pain, alcoholism, drugs, whatever it might be, narcissism. But when you were born into that and you are fighting your intuitive self saying, I'm this spiritual being that is beautiful and filled with light and joy, and this is how I express it. And your family, who's supposed to support you and love you and teach you to raise you into the world, but when they are chastising you, gaslighting you, shutting you down, abusing you physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, on and on, that list can go of disconnect. They are then asking you to ratify and to explain and justify your soul and your existence. Now, if you're sitting here with me listening to this coaching podcast as an adult and you're going, well, I never really connected. I never really felt like I fit in my family. Well, that's wrong. Your parents were not right just because they didn't have the skills and tool sets to raise you into adulthood safely. If you have entered adulthood with damaged emotional, mental self, that isn't 100% your fault. And if you're repeating patterns, for instance, of attracting narcissistic personalities or abusive personalities, or always, well, let's go a different way, never finding the right fit in a job, in a profession, in a career, right? If everything just seems to be like hitting a brick wall and you keep failing and failing and failing, well, we got to back up and ask ourselves why. Like, what in the actual fuck, right? What is happening here? And what I would guess, because we're not sitting face to face, and I haven't heard your whole life about what has happened in your life, but what I would guess is that you are desperately needing to develop the tools and skills to express you, to stand up for you, to set boundaries for you, to say what's on your mind, and to create a habitat, a circle of people around you who actually absorb and reflect the light from your soul, from who you actually are. Not who you pretend to be around people, but from who you truly actually are. That you need to be received fully, maybe even for the first time. Maybe this has never happened to you. It's only recently begun happening to me. When you turn towards your soul, when you turn towards your own light, when you turn towards your intuition, and you just hit all cylinders and you're like, light it up, baby. Well, that means that you're honoring you. You're lighting up your soul on fire. And when you're doing that, the ripples into those timelines around you are all going to begin to feel the energy. And it's a change in energy. And some of those people are not going to like it. It's going to get a little harder before it gets better as you clean house. And you have to clean house so that you can begin to get real with yourself about what you're not doing for you in order to have the life that you want. Everything is possible for you. In fact, it's already beginning to happen for you, but it can never happen for you if you don't do your part of it. I know that's going to sound a little confusing to some of you, but let's say that you want to climb a mountain. You're never going to be able to climb the mountain if you don't begin training to get to the top of the mountain, preparing, looking at what gear you need to take, how you structure your time. What kind of money is that going to take? How are you going to get there and get back down? Are you going to have to spend the night? Planning and preparing for the climb. And then the day comes after all these, let's say, months of preparation and work, and the day comes to climb the mountain. And You get there and you realize you haven't slept at all last night. How are you going to make it up the mountain? It's going to be a really difficult and unenjoyable task of climbing the mountain. And your joy isn't going to be fully possible. So if, right, if we dial back a little bit and you had allowed a couple more days to prepare, you were a little more boundaried on getting everything ready, and then you worked a sleep schedule up to make sure that you got up on time to get to the base camp of the mountain, and you adequately took care of yourself the day before you were going to sleep to climb the mountain. When you showed up at that base parking lot to go climb the mountain to do the summit trail, you would have had a full night's sleep and you would have prioritized yourself, because you would realize and accept that you are worthy. You are beautiful and gorgeous, and your light is fully worthy of shining with every single step up that mountain. And you knew that, so you prepared for the 4 to 6 to 8 months to a year before you ever took on that adventure, so that you could have the best experience ever. It really is, no matter what we're approaching in life, it really is about how you are treating you. Are you treating yourself like a second-class, passenger in your life? Or are you treating yourself like you're the first-class passenger in your life? You have the ticket that is all access, all comforts, all the things that you want and need, and all the people surrounding you and supporting you who are going to cheer you on and help you on your journey and make sure that you show up rested and happy and loved and fed and cared for. Because if you're treating yourself like everybody else is more important, that I am not worthy of somebody treating me nice, I am only worthy of people screaming at me, yelling at me, gaslighting me, abusing me. I'm only worthy of drugs and alcohol. I'm only worthy of a job I hate. If that's how you're treating yourself, that is on you. And I know that is really freaking hard to hear, and it's even going to piss some of you off when you have to sit there and go, the fuck, it's on me. I've been, and you list all of your, horrors of abuse and trauma. I'm not minimizing those. Those are real. And you need to own those, but it's only through owning those that you can become crystal clear that you are the one in charge of your life. And you can heal those traumas, and you can choose to do the work, and you can choose to show up for you, and you can choose to change the course of your unwritten future. Because any future that you can imagine as being possible for you is possible for you. But it really is about you choosing to unleash your light and your power, your vibrance, your gorgeousness, your soul, your shining soul into the world. And you are not going to do that by ignoring your gut intuitions and instincts. If you were to look at just today, for example, how many times today did you self-abandon? Have you self-abandoned? I had kind of a rough, sleepless night last night. And I had an early MRI appointment this morning. There's a little knee problem I'm working on. And everything kind of tried to get in my way of making that appointment this morning. And right down to, cats running through the house like they were tigers. And yet when I got up and I got ready and I got out of the house, what I realized is that I'm not doing a good enough job boundarying the roles and responsibilities in my house, even right down to the animals. Because if those nocturnal cats want to run around all night long, they're going to need to be secluded in an area of the house, especially on nights where there is early morning stuff that has to happen. That's on me. Yes, that was very irritating that cats didn't know my schedule and that they didn't support my sleep needs. But their timeline, their life, was what they created and what they needed and what they wanted. They really didn't care about mine. They didn't even know. So why would they have altered anything about their evening of revelry when they didn't even know that the person who feeds them and cleans out their litter box, one of the people, needed sleep? If I'd had my bedroom door open, I'm sure they would have been right in there waking me up, asking to be petted, because that was their active time. Now, it would be easy to just blame the cats for a bad night's sleep, but that would be a lie to myself. So I'm giving you a really simple, basic, real life example of, their timelines, my reality clashing, and a problem it created. But it also created the solution when I accepted the responsibility for creating an environment that I'm able to be safe and healthy in. Just like those years where I spent doing a lot of self-work and a lot of deep diving to clear away all of the trauma and to become fully responsible for myself, not codependent Nita, not victimized Nita, not Nita in pain, not Nita blaming away her existence, but living unapologetically as myself, where if I set a boundary, even if it gives me the shudders and makes me feel kind of icky about setting that boundary, I still know that I did the right thing for me. And I might unpack it with my best friend or my therapist, but I don't regret it. I feel uncomfortable about it because I was born into a home of trauma where I was normal, my survival mechanism was to normalize keeping my voice, my needs, my everything silent. And to undo that, we have to do the very uncomfortable thing, and we have to turn towards putting ourselves first and speaking up for ourselves, even when it's hard. Because you are your own champion. You are your own hero. You are the person responsible for taking every single step towards those possible futures that you see for yourself. And I'm telling you, every single thing that I have set on my list of I'm going to do this, I have either achieved or am on my way to achieving. And 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I could barely even breathe. My anxiety and panic was so high. Constant learning how to value yourself, constant learning how to do those uncomfortable things of putting yourself first in every situation. They are required. They are not a possible, like a maybe. They are not negotiable. It is not negotiable to let your soul shine. Your soul was born to shine. And anybody who doesn't want your soul to shine has to go. Now, that isn't an easy task. I don't expect you to do that alone. I do think that if any of this resonates with you, I would encourage you to reach out into your local community for a trauma-informed therapist. And you reach out for support groups. You can contact me on the web. It's on my podcast page there. You can find my website. You can contact me. In the new year, I'll have some online coaching programs, very affordable programs starting up. And I mean, affordable to the level where I needed it when I first started trying to break away. Because I had no money. I was dead broke with lots of children and freaking scared out of my mind. So my online coaching platform is designed to help people move through that incredibly traumatic forefront and into relationships with local therapists, because I believe there is nothing as powerful as a eye-to-eye relationship with a single professional, highly qualified and trained trauma recovery therapist. Okay, gorgeous you. I'm going to wrap us up. This has been a kind of powerful and emotional and passionate. I was going to say explosive, but that wasn't right. But a passionate conversation. And it is explosive in this idea of, yes, you have the right to take up space in the world. Yes, you do get to set boundaries and tell people no or fuck off. And yes, you were born with a purpose, and that purpose is within you. And it is my pleasure and privilege to get to show up and help nudge it into ember and to enjoy the process of seeing your spark start to take flame. All right, amazing you. Have a fabulous day. Look at, as you go through this week, until next week's podcast, as you go through this week, take a look at the timelines around you. If you have a moment, scroll back, a couple of years on my podcast and pick an episode. And, if you want to see the stark contrast when you apply the work and you hold yourself accountable, take a look at that. Go back. You can listen to me today, listen to me last week, or listen to me 2 years ago, and you will see a completely different person. And that's because I have never stopped learning how to turn up the dial on my light. And that is what my purpose and passion is for you, baby. It is to help you turn up the dial and hone in on your light. Happy week to you guys. Have a fabulous day. I'm going to drink a little more of my coffee before I get busy on my slightly busier than I expected day. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great day.